What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a Two Penny Games review, this time for Resident Evil. This is a part of our Two Penny Game Club series, which is your monthly video game book club, in which once a month, me and the other gentlemen on this panel sit down and we review a game we played in the background throughout the month. At the end of the month, rather, the beginning of the month, whenever we finish the fucking game, really, we sit down, we review it, and then we rank it against all the other games we've played in this series so far. We've played God of War Ragnarok, The Last of Us, Resident Evil 4, Portal, the list goes on. This month, we are doing Resident Evil, specifically the remake. But who are we? I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good gaming buds. Say hello to the people, Connor, Elliott.
My name is Connor, and I was here about 30 minutes ago.
and
here I am again.
And say hello, Phil Shoemaker.
My name's Phil Shoemaker, and so was I, Connor.
as far as the YouTube people know. This is, of course, going live over at youtube.com/twopennygames, and it is attached to the Two Penny Games cast, which is our weekly news podcast that goes up every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time. YouTube.com/twopennygames and mainstream podcast services of your choice. You can watch us record these reviews live over at twitch.tv/twopennygames, and every Tuesday, Phil, down here below me, goes live at 2 p.m. at twitch.tv/twopennygames, and he plays whatever catches his fancy at the time. So, gentlemen, let's get right into it with our review of Resident Evil. For clarity, we did play the GameCube remake of this game. We all played on PlayStation, correct?
Yes.
Yes, awesome. All right, so the remake came out March 22nd, 2002. The original game came out March 22nd, 1996. So just 6 years apart to the day, which is really, really cool. The original Resident Evil sold accumulatively 5.3 million copies. That is including the PS1 version, the Saturn version, the Resident Evil Director's Cut, the DualShock version, and something called Biohazard Deadly Silence, which seems to be a DS port in 2006. The DS port sold only 103,000. So, the most minimal of all the other versions. But we played the 2002 version, which came out in 2002, of course, like I just said, sold accumulatively 6.1 million copies, so just over the original. But it's important to note, and Connor, you'll find this interesting, that the game did not do super well at launch, selling only 1.3 million on the GameCube. Really undersold what they were expecting. Review-wise, it did really well. The remake has a 83 on Metacritic right now. This is the PlayStation 4 HD remaster version of the game. And the original game had a 91, which Metacritic came way after the original game was released. So, of course, those scores are bumped because of influence and impact and all of that. So, Connor, the reason it not doing well at launch is important to you is because it didn't do too hot until the HD remaster, which is technically the version we are playing, which came out on the PS3 in 2014, which sold 3.7 million, and then it went to Steam and sold another million. We played it on the PlayStation 4 port, which is probably, several hundred thousands more. The reason I say it's important for you, Connor, is because, one, they were going to remake the original trilogy, and because this game didn't sell, they stopped at one. And two, Square Enix was keeping a close eye on the success of this game. And if it had done well, we would have gotten a Final Fantasy VII remake decades earlier.
Would we really have?
That was the idea. Is they were kicking around the idea, but because this remake didn't do so well, they went, never mind.
Well, I'm happy it didn't do well then. Sorry to all the other guys who, worked on this game. It's, as you'll come to find out, I thought it was pretty good, but if it had to die for Final Fantasy VII Remake, it was only right.
Well, for the version of Final Fantasy VII Remake that we have, if it had been remade in 2006 or whatever, it would have been probably a pretty traditional remake.
That's true.
Probably would not have changed that many things.
No.
Well, I'm happy it played out the way it did.
The remake we do have doesn't change too many things either, narratively, until wink. But that's a conversation for another day. Gentlemen, let's get into our reviews. Phil, You have only played a handful of Resident Evil titles. The remakes of 2, 3, and you've played half-ish of Resident Evil 4. So you being the least experienced in this series, I'm very curious as to how you felt about Resident Evil.
Well, Tavin, thank you for asking. Resident Evil sucks. No, I'm kidding. No, I had a good time with it. I definitely took a long time to get used to. I don't want to say that Resident Evil sucks. I do think it has problems. I'm not the biggest fan of limited saves, at least as arbitrary as finding ink ribbons are as a limited save. That being said, I still did finish the game with like 4 or 5 of them left. That's just because when I'm in a survival horror game, I like to save often. That's what I do. But as far as the other stuff, I mean, no aiming, kind of shitty. But you know, a lot of games that were this style with like the isometric camera and all that, aiming wasn't the easiest because we hadn't figured out third-person aiming yet. But you know, it's serviceable. You pretty much lock on to whatever enemy is in front of you and just blast away. I think resources in this game, pretty fair. Because you know, you kind of use what you get, however you want to. Really, I could have probably done this whole game with just the pistol, but that wouldn't have been any fun. I ended up finishing the game with, I think I had like 30 or 40 bullets left over in my pistol.
Mm-hmm.
All the rest I just used. You got your shotgun, which is, I think the assault shotgun's the best weapon in the game. Very good. I had almost all of my grenades left until I used all those at the final boss. And you know, then you get the rocket launcher, and that's that. But I think this game, I think first couple hours for me were like the roughest, just because I have no idea where I'm going. And I was telling Tavin, I felt like I was aimless going through all these hallways because I didn't really have a set objective other than, hey, find out what's going on in this creepy house. But then, you know, I kind of got in the rhythm and I was like, fuck, I'm starting to enjoy myself. I don't want this first opening 3 hours, 4 hours of me playing through this to ruin the rest of my playthrough. So I started over. I know. Phil started over after complaining about all this progress he made in this game. Was it really progress? I don't think so. If anything, it was just a waste of resources. So I started back with a guide, and then I had a map next to me while playing the game after getting roughly to where I was, if not a little bit past, with the guide. But yeah, I had a great time with this game. Me and Tavin hopped on for my last 2-ish hours, and it was a good time. He accompanied me all the way from pretty much the lab to the very end of the game. And it was a great time. I do think that Resident Evil 1 remaster or remake is an important game to play. If I think it's an important game to have on your gaming catalog. I beat this game. It's one of those games. I think Resident Evil is one of those series that is important in the zeitgeist of gaming.
Very nice. It is worth noting, Phil and I both played as Jill, and all 3 of us played on what the game calls easy mode, but it's the normal mode. But
the middle one, yeah.
Japanese games, they, fucking normal is gonna punch you in the dick. All 3 of us played on easy, but Connor, you played as Chris. So
No, I did not.
You did not?
I'm sorry. I may have because before I started the game, I was going to play as Chris because you want me to start my review?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that sounds like a good point. So I played Resident Evil a couple of years back when I was in high school with Jill, and I never beat it. I didn't get too scared and stopped playing when the hunter showed up. But I picked it up recently, obviously for the game club here, and I decided to go with Jill again because I knew that Chris is just a harder version of the game. Most notably, he has less inventory space, which kind of leads me into the my criticisms on the game. I get the inventory management system. I like managing inventory, but in a game that requires you to go back and forth to boxes, back to the locations you need to go at, it ends up not really being a pro, but really just a con. I feel like the game extends itself farther than it needs to by doing unnecessary backtracking that generally isn't scary, isn't fun. It just kind of is a waste of time in my eyes. Yeah, I know, but this is the kind of game where you are expected to go back and travel throughout places that you had been before, and it does do some interesting things to change it up. Having enemies come in that weren't there before, when new types of enemies spawn in, now you're gonna have to deal with those, which made it more fun than it otherwise would have. But I still had that thought in the back of my head, ugh, I'm just going back to the box for these ink ribbons, for these save, the save inventory, which to Phil's point, I didn't like either, solely just because it was once again one of those things that kind of became annoying to play the game. Another thing that did the same was, if you stepped away from this game for any period of time, you could get easily lost, since there's a lot of particulars that you have to keep in mind. So I found myself not really being able to play any other games and having to push through it to get a proper experience. Because I knew from my last time playing the game, which I had taken multiple long breaks, coming back to it, and each time having this whole big issue of finding out where I was been, usually having to look up a guide to remember what it is I'm supposed to be doing here. But despite that, I enjoyed this even more so than when I played it back in the day. I found it a lot easier. I only died once, annoyingly, because I gave the game too much credit, thinking that I had to do a boss fight in an interesting way. I didn't. I just had to shoot him, which is probably the last big issue I have with it. The game, I felt like, outside of the puzzles, could have been smarter, the way certain things were done. But usually it would just be like, oh, shoot this guy, and that's it. It's dead. They change it up with a boss later in the game, which is kind of annoying to do if you don't do the workaround that the game provides for you, which, another interesting way that this game works is due to the all the different types of equipment you can get. Sometimes they're more efficient against certain bosses and enemy types, so you can kind of use that game knowledge, which I had from my first time playing the game, to more expediently go through the mansion and fight whatever enemies you're trying to go up against. The camera, while it's definitely outdated, I was able to get around it, and it actually added a lot to the game in my mind of making it as scary as it was. It would be a lot less scary if it didn't have the camera it did and played more like a traditional, or more like a new Resident Evil game, whether that's third person, following behind, being able to change the camera as much as you go, or even first person. So I think this is probably consistently the scariest Resident Evil, but it's not. It doesn't have the scariest moments. Story is pretty nonsensical, but I've come to expect that from Resident Evil, and it was funny, though it does lack the bad voice acting the original game has, which brought a lot of spirit to it. So now it's just kind of bad writing without that much enjoyment behind it, but I still had fun with it. Overall, it's a game that has lots of suspense, plays very well, and holds up. One of those games that you can play like Dead Space, even though it came out years ago. It has its longevity, and there's a reason why this has been the building block for future Resident Evil games.
Interesting. Okay. So, and then for me, I loved my time with Resident Evil. I found it exhilarating. I found it joyous, horrifying, frightening. I went through a huge wave of emotions as I continued to play this game. This was a blind spot for me in my Resident Evil lineage, I guess you would say, where I've played every mainline numbered title except for this one. And Connor, you were the same way until you played 4 and, completed your playthrough here for the show here. But yeah, I'm absolutely crazy in love with this game. It is currently, I would say, my second favorite Resident Evil game, right behind the Resident Evil 2 remake. The thing about it for me is this game is not about the combat. This game is about exploring the mansion. It's about resource management. It's about managing what you decide to carry along in your inventory as you go out and explore, and like what is valuable, what is not. Is it worth bringing health items along, or should I negate that, leave it in the box, and go and risk traveling to this new area I've never been to before with a weapon and ammo, or with a key item, or with the flask and the lighter? Those are questions and decisions you have to handle throughout your entire playthrough of the game, and that question is always interesting, in my opinion. It's funny how Phil, in his opening hours, he said he felt lost. He felt aimless. He didn't know what was going on. That had sparked a fun conversation between the two of us, where that's how I feel in games like Breath of the Wild, where I feel like I'm just running around, for the sake of running around, and that's not fun to me. This game had given me the sort of explorative feeling that other gamers talk about with Breath of the Wild here, where it's more confined. You're limited in where you can go. And that brings excitement out of me as I start finding key items and I start unlocking new passages and unlocking new rooms and puzzles and all of these different things. That is where the fun of this game lies. That is where the game comes alive for me. The horror of it is only implemented in its limited camera views, its limited control schemes, and what you can do. There were moments of this game that scared me more than any other survival horror game ever had, period. Now, a lot of it is most of just atmospheric and tension building and getting to know your environment, so then when a zombie pops out where he wasn't before or where you weren't expecting him to be, that's when you go, oh, fuck, shit, god damn it. But it's never like a constant sense of dread. It is just lots of, I don't want to say jump scares, but it's a lot of like just the atmosphere constantly building on itself in a way to where it sets you up for these big scary moments. And, you know, when they do throw something new at you, you very often feel the need to retreat back to safety, gather yourself, figure out what you're going to do, and then approach the danger. Which all of that I found super, super exciting. Yeah, Resident Evil Remake is one of my favorite games that I've ever played. And I can't wait to chase the platinum for this game. Connor, I'm curious as how you can claim this game has padding when you can beat it in 3 hours.
Oh, that comes with knowledge of the game and how to work the systems. Definitely, you can make this game very quickly, but as far as first playthroughs go, it is padded in that sense. Here's the thing. My issue is that
sounds like a skill issue.
I got you there, Connor.
He
got you there.
Once. Well,
I think I died 4 times.
I definitely died more than once. A hunter got me with one of its one-shot hits, and then there was a dog. I was low on health, and I was being stubborn and not going back to a box to get more. So the little like outside area before you leave the mansion the first time, there's a dog that jumps out, and that dog got me like 2 or 3 times because I was just being stubborn.
I also wanted to say.
Oh well, real quick, we cut off Connor.
No, I was gonna ask you. Like I was like the front door. Is that you said?
No. Before you leave the mansion, like on the east side in the back.
Yeah. I thought it was like why'd you open the front door? They told you not to do it.
Phil made that mistake.
Yeah, but then I reset it.
Yeah. So it never happened technically.
Wow. You couldn't accept your decisions.
I made that clear already. It's like I wasted so many resources. I don't want to just give myself hell later.
No, I don't blame you. But I found myself just constantly going back due to the inventory system, just to put stupid items back that had no consequence, that I didn't know were coming up to be used, so it would just take up unnecessary space, because unlike other Resident Evil games where you have a larger inventory system, this one's very, very limited, which I do like on its own, but when you do factor in how many times you have to run back just for a single item, I was just like, okay, I don't need to be doing this. I get it's an old game, but I'm not having fun when I do those things. Overall, my enjoyment of the game was very high. I liked it a lot more than I did in the first time I played it. Not only that, but I was better at it this time around. As you said before, Tavin, I found it scary when I first played it, but I think it just playing it that one time kind of numbed me to it, because I wasn't too scared when I jumped back in. Because Resident Evil games have this tendency, when they do have horror elements, have scary elements, it kind of goes away at a certain point. You just kind of become acclimated to the climate and the tone that it's giving you, and it doesn't really make you shiver. One exception being Resident Evil 2, because that damn ass Mr. X, whatever his dumb name was.
You didn't feel that with no Lisa here?
No,
I did not. Lisa was so unthreatening.
No. Yeah.
The only thing that really got me, actually got me in this game, was that fucking plant tentacle. Coming at you when you're going over that thing with the 2 holes in the floor.
Yeah.
So it got me that first time. I was like, oh my god, fuck. And then I kept going, and and then at some point I went back, and then it got me again. I was like, "What the fuck? Why are you doing it again?" And then I didn't realize it was like, okay, so it does it every time I walk over that. So then I push the box, and I would hop over the box.
That's a fun because there's a lot of like small changes. Most of the game is the same as the original, but there's a lot of small changes, and that tentacle is one of the small changes where they added they added a second hole that it can come out of. Whereas before you would just kind of put the block over the hole and then you like threat done. But now if you put the block over that same hole, it's got the other hole that it can come grab you from. So you have to put it over the second hole and then climb over all the other crates. So there's a lot of fun little small things like that. Also the big thing of like Crimson Heads, which I think is fucking awesome. Like totally adds another layer of resource management and time management and decision making that I think adds so much to this game. Where like I won't say very often, but every so often I'd find myself in a room and a zombie would come through the window and I would kill it and I'd be like, fuck, I don't have my lighter with me. Shit, I gotta go back to the box. Fuck. But
you don't just need the lighter either. You need the fucking canteen with oil.
Well, yeah. But tomatoes tomorrow. And that would be a choice of like, now you have to sit here and be like, all right, realistically, how many more times am I gonna come through this room? Never? Okay, well then I'm gonna leave this dead body here. Or fuck, this is an important hallway. I like this hall. I use this hallway to get to the stairs or something. So I do have to go get that lighter. Or it's like, this is a semi-important room. I might be back. I may not be. It just depends on how the rest of this game plays out. Let me just leave it. And if I do find out that I do need to come back, I'll come back with a shotgun, and handle business and stuff like that. So all of that was always really fun to me.
So how many bodies would you say you guys actually burned?
Most of them.
Most of them? Really?
I got quite a few of them. Yeah.
I think I only did like 6 of them. I refilled my canteen twice.
Oh no, I definitely did more than that. Yeah. I cleared out a lot of the mansion because there's.
Sorry, hang on. I'm misspeaking. I am the only, like, when you go to the safe room, there's like the oil or like the kerosene containers. I only emptied one of those.
I didn't empty any of them, but I did put all of them because there's 3 in the mansion, I believe, and then there's 1 in the lab. I don't think there's any in the house. But I put all 3 of the ones in the mansion at low. So that's what 6 refills, something like that.
I think it's only 3.
Oh, there is one in the house. There is one in the house, but I only use that once.
I think it's only 3 refills because it's you get 3, or you get 2 with each one. I think it's 6 per like big container.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think of how my lab experience went. There's not a lot of zombies in the lab. I know I killed those first 2 that are in the staircase area, and by the end of the game, I did kill one of the ones in that like sort of main area of the lab where there's like the 2 on the opposite sides or whatever. I killed the one on the lower end just because I was like, this guy's getting in my way. Let me just get out of him. And I think I got a critical shot on him, so I didn't have to burn him.
Yeah, I let those guys by the stairs be.
It's always a celebratory moment whenever the head just explodes and you go, fuck yeah. Yes.
It is cool.
I don't have to deal with this again.
I had that moment because I switched to the Magnum at one point, and I was just going around the house and letting a zombie come up to me, point up, and instant critical. Blow their head off.
Yeah, always. Oh, God. The first time it happened, I was like, fuck, yes, that's a thing. Let's go. Connor, what is this boss that you were talking about that you were like, this is stupid?
The tyrant boss.
What?
I thought I had to do something interesting with him. I was like looking around. I was like, oh, I can't just shoot bullets into him. That's
you talking about
even boring.
Like you Barry, and Chris?
Barry?
Well, they get Barry and Chris get knocked out, but yeah.
You're talking about the first time?
Oh yeah.
Oh, the first time. Gotcha. I thought
Which, by the way, me and Phil both got the good ending. Phil, Connor, how did your ending play out?
Oh, I got the good ending.
You got the good ending. Okay,
Barry,
you saved everybody.
Chris.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It just I didn't think I would have to. So let me just say the puzzles are very good in this game. They made me think. Not many games make me think. I'm just kidding. A lot of them do. But I had that mindset going into the bosses. Well, not the snake and the spider, because I knew how those guys would... Well, not the spider. I knew how the snake would be. But the time I was like, oh, it's going to do something interesting. It's the final boss of the game. I can't just shoot it with bullets. And so I spent a lot of time not doing that. And then he killed me because I had no, I had no like health items at all.
Yeah.
And I just got killed. And I was like, no, can't just shoot him. I don't want to waste bullets. It's not just going to be that. And it was. And I could have had a
That doesn't make any sense to me, like from a design level,
Like,
because
you
you're
knew
so
it was the final boss and
you're
everything?
so
Like,
super powered at the end. Like, yeah, use the weapons. You've spent the whole time not using the weapons. Use the weapons.
Connor, Tavin was watching me play, and I had 33 grenade launcher shots.
Yeah,
I had a lot as well.
yeah. I had a lot of grenade launcher. I had a lot of basically the entirety of the lab. I just used the shotgun.
Yeah, as far as getting like having ammo, that was never an issue at any point in the game. Like I always was comfortable with like, oh, well, I just need to use the right gun for the right situation. Which I kind of said it at the beginning. Annoying thing that would happen is that I would go into a room and I would need something like a lighter to light a candle to see into the dark, and it's like I know I have to go back and get this because the only way I would know if I needed a lighter here is if I played this game recently or remembered it and carried it into this room when I was going into this part of the house. But now here I am having to backtrack for just a single lighter, which if I don't clear out enough space, maybe I don't have enough inventory room to get the items that are in that room, and it once again just becomes another thing where I'm gonna have to walk back and then walk back here again. And when you don't include those enemies that they randomly interject into these moments to make you more surprised, you find it kind of being tedious.
What are you carrying with you?
Health items, ammo, anything that I pick up while I'm going through rooms, getting things for other puzzles is generally where I'd have that issue of being
But
like,
okay, so like, did you never like leave a safe room without a health item?
Sorry, what was that again?
Would you
phrase the question again?
Did you always have a health item in your inventory? Because to me, like, I would only carry a health item if I knew I was going into a new area. If I'm just like exploring rooms I've already been in before and I know what I'm about to face, I wouldn't carry a health item with me. I would just my gun in case something got in my way, and then the key item that I needed in that moment.
Well, I didn't do that.
Okay.
Most of the time I went into a room, it was completely unknowledgeable. Like, I guess I didn't have health items when I knew where I was, but I was always going to a new area. So I always felt like, okay, I'm going to need a health point at some point. I would only keep one. I would never do more than that. And then also there'd be other health items you pick up along the way, in addition to the key items and ammo. There's a lot of things you need to pick up, and it's kind of not a good idea to skip over any of it. It's kind of what helped make me not have any, any kind of a shortness in resources. Because I
left health items everywhere. Like, if I was good, I just left it, and I was like, if I need it, I'll come back for it.
Maybe I should have done the same thing.
It did lead to some confusion, because I agree. Like, if you leave the game for a couple of days and come back, you're sitting there like, what the fuck am I doing? I don't remember what the hell I'm doing next. And that would lead to some confusion where I'd pull up the map and like several rooms would be red, and I'm like, oh, red room. Let me go in there and see what's up. And oh, it's just a herb. That's right.
Yeah, I always keep track of it because I was like, I know it's gonna stay red just with items that I didn't need. So I just kind of kept track of that as I went through the house. Most of the time, it worked.
Did any of y'all keep the knife on you?
No, it was useless.
Nope.
By the way, I think Chris, I forgot to mention it earlier, he, instead of having a lockpick, has a lighter on him at all times.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
He also gets less inventory space.
But more health.
More health. Take more hits. Ideally. But he also doesn't get things like the assault shotgun. He doesn't get the grenade launcher. So you're kind of just stuck with pistol, regular shotgun, Magnum.
I never found that assault shotgun. I always used Old Reliable.
It was literally right next to Richard. What's his name? Is it Richard?
It's Richard, yeah. Did you save Richard?
No.
You didn't.
Well, there you go.
Give him medicine?
No, I did not. I did not give him into it in time. I dawdled.
Oh man.
Do you guys know?
That's why you didn't find it.
You guys know that though. He could die.
Yes.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I kind of knew that, and I was like, oh,
It was
things
so clear that he would die. Like, he would die if you didn't go get the shit and come back.
I just thought that that's what the next objective was.
No. That was definitely one that felt like I could do this or I could not do this, but I'm gonna go do this because it'll probably benefit me later, knowing Resident Evil the way Resident Evil is. And
mean,
sure enough, it does help.
Like, because I would open the map and then I would see like it would circle the room that has the stuff in it.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay, that's just where I'm supposed to go now.
Yeah, it was both. Yeah, when Richard's poisoned, and then if you get poisoned in that first fight with the snake,
they do the same thing.
it you don't even pull up the map. It puts it out. It puts it in front of your face and goes, "Go here."
Oh, right. You don't have to be the one to do it.
Yeah.
I guess I never got the assault shotgun because I remember saving him in my first playthrough, and he dies anyway, which is why I didn't care.
Yeah.
So I would have changed that up if I.
But he gets eaten by the snake and then he drops the assault shotgun.
One of the worst fates in a video game, just like you're just fated to die no matter what.
That was the sacrifice.
The line delivery for Jill's Richard. I fucking laughed so hard. Connor, I'm with you. The story is ridiculous and nonsensical or whatever, but like, what are you expecting from a mid-90s video game? Like, granted, they did like rewrite the game a little bit, but you know, it was still like early 2000s. You're still not looking at anything great storytelling wise.
Right.
Also, Jill's an idiot in this game, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Here's two of her people talking behind doors of like obviously scheming about something, and she's just like, "Oh well."
That, like, Wesker could not telegraph that I'm evil more than any other character in video game history. Like,
the man wears his sunglasses indoors
at night.
At night.
He is a psychopath.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, but yeah, absolutely. But it was just like that's not the point of this game. The point is to like explore and solve puzzles and so forth. My favorite area of the game was I forget what they call it. What is the house like area? Like the guardhouse or whatever? The residence. Yeah, the residence. I loved that part of the game. I don't know why that spoke to me so much because like the bees are super annoying. Spiders creep me out. But I just really liked the residence. Something about just it being a smaller form of the mansion with more complexity to it really excited me.
Resident Evil?
It's like it's a game or something.
It's like it's a game or something. No, but
did you guys know? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The room, the shotgun room where it crushes you if you leave it with the shotgun. You guys know that with just Chris's, you have to have the fake shotgun to put there, and in this one, Barry just saves you.
No, that happened to me. Because if there's a moment in the main foyer, if you meet Barry a second time, he gives you something. You get
the shotgun.
Yeah, I think he gives you. What does he give you? Grenade launcher rounds or some shit?
It's like acid rounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you do that before you enter that room, he doesn't come to save you. So Phil had Barry save him, but Barry did not save me. I had to do it myself.
I thought you just did it automatically. Okay. Yep. Little bits of pieces in that game.
Barry.
It going back to because I agree with you on this issue, Tavin. The exploration of it, the aimless exploration where you just gotta find out what's up with this mansion and uncover its secrets. It reminds me of those Elden Ring, Breath of the Wild stuffs, but all in a positive light rather than
well, I liked it. Is what I was saying.
Yeah.
Phil early on felt like, ugh, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Tavin, so you missed out on that trophy.
What trophy?
For Barry to save Jill.
Is there a trophy for that?
I'm pretty sure. I got one pop after he saved me.
Let me find out. Not using your weapons on the tyrant fight is insane to me. I'm sorry to revisit that, but that's just absolutely crazy.
I thought there was something else. I was like, there's something else here.
I specifically loaded up on my grenade launcher because I was like, I'm gonna use it now.
I was looking forward to it. I wanted to use because the second boss fight, I just laid into him, of course, and it was easy. I had so much magnum bullets. I'd been saving it just for him, but could have been a no death run, guys. Still bothers me.
You got fucked up at the end.
I did, almost at the end.
That's
of course.
Hilarious. I enjoyed the boss fights just as not a skill check, but just a resource check of this is it's hey, if you don't have enough, well then you need to go explore and
get more.
Find more, or hey, you have too much, time to get rid of it. And I enjoyed all that. It's all of them except for one, which was only added in this remake. All of them are just shoot it. There is another way around Plant 42 if you're willing to take the extra steps to do it. But other than like you can just shoot it, like, and it's fine. That like none of them take a whole lot of like damage. Like you just come in with your heavier weapons and unload. And I enjoy the combat of this game of like positioning. Like the entire like all of the combat is just centered around preparation and positioning. So like if I enter a room and I'm not equipped with the hardware to take care of the problem, then I leave the room immediately and then go get the hardware and come back. Or like it's the snake is a big example of that, of where you have to just kind of constantly be moving and find opportunities where you're like, okay, I'm far enough away from this guy, I can take care of him right now.
Right.
I didn't really have any issues with any of the bosses. The spider did the most damage to me out of all of them. And I don't know why. It just had this charge move where it would like charge me and just knock me down.
Yeah, I never saw that.
Yeah, and it was like a weird thing because like the first time I entered the room, I wasn't prepared for it, and I went, oh fuck, turned around, came back. And when I came back with weapons, it just like it was out of frame, and it just charged me from out of frame. So like it just out the gate knocked me down, and I was like, all right, fine, whatever. And then it also took a lot of damage, but I think it's because I was using the wrong weapon. I was using acid rounds on it, and I don't think that's a good way to take care of that boss.
It's basically got like acid blood, so I don't think it did anything.
Yeah, because it took a lot of shots, and then I was like, is this even doing anything? And then I shot it twice with my pistol, and then it died. And I was like, oh, I guess it was doing something. Okay, cool.
It was doing something.
You must have been very scared of the spiders, huh, Tavin?
I didn't like it. Yo, especially when they first come out, and it's you enter that room, and it comes down right above you.
Down right behind you.
It was one of those moments where I paused the game and put the controller down. I was like, fucking this son of a bitch game. Fucking
I mean, kind of the same thing happened. I used to be like terrified of spiders when I was younger, but yeah, like it was that moment. I didn't do it just because I was scared. I did it because I wanted to text the group chat. I was like, really? Giant spiders?
Come on. I knew the spiders were coming because they also make an appearance in Resident Evil 2, the original, that is.
Yeah.
So I knew spiders were coming. It was the sharks where I was like, are you serious? Fucking sharks? Like,
were they just trying to like cover their bases in terms of like phobias?
Maybe, probably, I would imagine, yeah. Which that whole shark area has been completely remade. Like it's super different from the original game. The original game, it was pretty like silly. Like you're just like, all right, cool, and like
this whole game is silly.
Them. The game is silly, but like I enjoy that. It's a level of camp that I get into, and I'm like, all right, this is fun. Anything else anybody else has to say about Resident Evil, gentlemen?
Man, boy, could it use an objective tracker.
Oh, that would make it way too easy. Because
not like telling you like, hey, go get this thing, but like some kind of hints like, oh, I need something that might be able to fit in this door or something. Like, I don't know.
I feel like it does that though. Like you click on a door and it goes, oh, sword key. You go, all right, I don't have a sword key, so I guess I need to find a sword key.
I'm not talking about that. I mean, like, just if you open your inventory or something, like it says like, hey, this is what you're supposed to do next.
Does that not function with the examine button?
I mean, no, not really. Because it kind of just tells you what you're holding. It doesn't say like what it's supposed to go to. Well, or like I wonder if it'll fit somewhere or something like that.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, like, if you don't... I just didn't have that issue, I guess, where, like, if I didn't know where something went, I just put it away, and then whenever, like, a door, it'd be like, oh, this is a hexagonal shape, or the wind medallion. I was like,
right,
I don't know where this goes. The only thing I can find is an 8-sided hole. This is 6 sides, so obviously I'm not using this, so I put it away, and then an hour later... Sure enough, oh, this is where I put it. Okay, let me go back to a box, grab it, and come back here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think for me it was more like if I didn't have this map, I'll tell you what, because as soon as I picked up something like not necessarily when I picked up something new, but I would encounter something that I didn't recognize, and then I'd be like, this looks like this, and then I consult the map. It's like, oh, this is supposed to go in here. Oh, okay, cool. Let me go grab that, and I'll come back.
I mean, this is a game that like I recognize is not going to be for everyone. It just speaks to me really well. And like I fully intend on like getting the platinum, and you have to play it like 6 times to do that, and play several of the like alternate modes. Like there's
hard pass. I instantly deleted it as soon as I played.
Like there's a mode that makes all the enemies invisible. There's a mode where it I forget what it's called. It's like realistic mode or whatever, or true survivor mode or whatever. And all of the boxes are delinked. So like if you put one on the west end, that item stays in that west end box. So you gotta like traverse and all that. So I'm gonna play that mode, and I'm excited about that. Hard mode I'm excited about. I'm excited to get the speed runs in. I really fucked with this game.
You can have that. You can have that platinum, Tavin.
Not gonna do it, Phil. That's so sad. Aren't you trying to overtake him?
I am.
Well, he told me a while back that he looks at my trophy list to decide what he's going for next, which I think is a fucking dick move. Like, have some originality, you bitch. What is the bad guy from Glass Onion? What is his name? The Edward Norton character?
I was gonna say Edward Norton.
Oh man,
he's rich. He's a bad guy.
What
was I gonna say? Oh, yeah. So if I'm ever like wondering what one to do next, I just take a peek at Tavin's list and I was like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Meanwhile, I have a list of like in my notes app. I have a list of like, here are all the games that you played and like and would like to return to and stuff. Gentlemen, that is it for Resident Evil. I think we are all mostly positive on it, but some of us more than others. So let's go ahead and rank this bad boy against all the other games we've reviewed in our 2-penny game club. Me and Connor had a bit of a conversation in between recordings while live on twitch.tv/2pennygames. So if you want to see all the behind the scenes conversations and little back and forths and stuff, make sure you watch live every Sunday at 3 p.m. to however long it takes us to do these. So I kind of know where he's going with this. Phil, I have a pretty good idea where you're going with this. So I think mine will be the most, I don't want to say extreme, but it'll be the most interesting choice to throw out first.
I already know where you're putting it, and I'm really disappointed.
Where do you think I'm putting this?
You're putting it at number 3.
No, I'm not putting it at number 3. That's too much for me. But you're close.
Putting it at number 4.
Yeah.
After Chrono Trigger, it's 6, 4, 5. I mean, isn't it?
No, it's above Dishonored. So it goes at number 4 for me. Like personally, because I think like the exploring was so much fun in this game. The scares were so intense when they did happen. The atmosphere is thick. The gameplay is like it activates my mind and makes me think in ways that like most games just don't. And it also favors replayability, which is a big thing for me in video games in general. So, like, I think it's way more interesting from a game design level than things like Arkham Asylum or Dishonored. And I think it, I think it matches Chrono Trigger, like, in terms of quality. This plays to my preferences more, and Portal is too short to hold a candle to this. Like, even if you speed run this game, it's going to take you longer than your first playthrough of Portal. So, and then Resident Evil 4, I've always liked and appreciated. I do like that game, but it's always been sort of the mid-tier Resident Evil for me, where, like, it's a little old, like, the tone isn't my favorite. It favors action-styled gameplay as opposed to, like, really clever level design. And, you know, this game has super clever level design. It has super, not complicated systems. The systems are easy, but the systems layer on top of each other in a way to where you have choice as to how to handle each situation, which I think is always fun. And, you know, replayability being high. makes me go, oh yeah, I really, really like this game. So yeah, this game, I personally am voting for it to be at number 4, above Dishonored, below Hades. Phil.
You going to me next?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, Tavin, coming into this, I was immediately going to put it at number 8. But you managed to sway me in your talk. And I'm fine putting this at number 6.
Above Portal,
Yes.
below Chrono Trigger. Connor, where are you feeling on this, my friend?
I can't specifically say that it's better than Chrono Trigger because I haven't played Chrono Trigger, so.
Yes, you have not. I was about to. If you had said it was over Chrono Trigger, I would have gone into spasms. Most
I know.
Connor would have fought hard for that Chrono Trigger vote.
Look, I can't argue. I can't argue for it. I can't argue against it. I feel like it probably is better than Resident Evil. At least I would think so.
I would as well, which is why I'm not putting it in that spot. See, I was kind of changing my mind a little bit on where to put it, but I think I'm going to stick with my original choice and argue for the number 8 spot, as you were, Phil. Now, when I say number 8, it is way better than Arkham Asylum. Way better. And it's like, the real question was, what do I think is better, Resident Evil 4 or Resident Evil 1 Remake? Because in terms of overall quality, I think they're pretty similar. They're very different games. Definitely, Resident Evil 1 has better replay value, but I think the highs of Resident Evil 4 were greater than that of Resident Evil 1, where it was kind of just a fun, consistent gameplay experience. So I think I'm just it really can go in either spot, but I think I'm going to stick with number 8.
Okay, so that mathematically puts it at number 6.
Does it?
It does indeed, yeah, because me and Phil's votes keep it up, but as soon as Phil drops out, it stays at wherever he drops out. So
I continue to be the tiebreaker.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our current ranking of just games, the greatest games of all time. Starting at number 9, we have Batman Arkham Asylum. Number 8, Resident Evil 4. Number 7, Portal. Number 6, Resident Evil. Number 5, Chrono Trigger. Number 4, Dishonored. Number 3, Hades. Number 2, The Last of Us. Number 1, God of War Ragnarok. This puts us in an interesting spot where the next time we do this, I'm gonna have to. It's probably gonna be a game that I don't like as much as this one. So now I have to be like, do I put it above Resident Evil, even though I like Resident Evil more, but because I think it's better than, say, a Dishonored or something? Or do I keep it below Resident Evil, even though I think it's better than Dishonored? So as we continue, that conversation is gonna get more and more complicated, and eventually it's just going to lead to us all hating this list. So
I'm excited for that day.
Yeah, right. Gentlemen, let us find what we are playing for this next month. I kind of like that we review this ahead of time as opposed to on schedule, because then it gives us extra time to do whatever we need to do in case it's like a busy month or whatever. So
it does. Tab, before you hit that spin button, are we still continuing with our cancellations for which game we do not want to play?
Oh, you're absolutely right, Connor. Yes. I forgot what we canceled out last month. I think it was like Fire Emblem and
Fire Emblem 3 Houses was one of them.
Yeah. Connor canceled out some Persona is what he canceled out. And then I forget what Phil did.
Forget what I canceled. What did I cancel?
It doesn't matter. It's in the list now. So, gentlemen, look through your
I don't want to accidentally say it again.
That's a good point. I don't think we'll have that problem.
Do you have an idea of what it is? Because I might be able to remember once you say it.
I will in the future keep this written down so that this doesn't happen. Oh, Connor, that reminds me. I was having a bit of a conversation with Phil about it. But you've played all of the main Resident Evil games alongside me. Right now, we have Resident Evil 2 Remake in the list. I was curious if we should go from here to Resident Evil 2 Remake. I'm not gonna suggest that we play RE2 original, because
the OG.
We would either have to pass around my PlayStation 3 or emulate the game, and that it's just a lot of steps. So I think, just RE2 Remake is fine. But now we're at a crossroads where like we could kind of jump to any of the different camera perspective changes. So, like, do we keep one Resident Evil in the list and just go numerically? Do we go in order of release? Or do we go, like, the next one would be 5. We keep 2 in here, but put 7 in here as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, where would you kind of fall on that? Because there's a lot of changes from perspective and game design ethos, and numerically they jump all over the fucking place, and chronologically they jump all over the fucking place.
You know what? Let's go ahead and I would be in favor of doing 5 next. Yeah, since it's Resident Evil 2 and 3 are the new Resident Evil games, and 7 and 8 are obviously also the new Resident Evil games.
Yeah.
So we want to kind of go chronologically, like or order of release.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. God, that means after 5 we have to do 6. Fuck me.
We don't have to do 6 because it's not considered one of the best games of all time.
And it's also it also
there's a lot of games in this list that are not considered the best games of all time.
You shut your mouth.
Think about it. Resident Evil 6 is completely useless now because that storyline's never going to be picked up again, and it's not good.
It's true.
I wish that was true. I wish that was true.
It'll never matter, Tavin. It'll never matter until they remake it.
Gentlemen, what in this list are we going? Nah, we don't need to do that. Or we want to take a pass on it for this next month. I'll go first. I don't feel like playing The Last of Us Part 2 right now. So I'm at peak Last of Us like absorption right now. I just played part 1 twice last year. I'm watching the TV series. I'm working my way through part 1 a third time for collectibles so I can get the platinum on the remake. I'm cool. I don't need to play Last of Us Part 2 right now.
You know what? I'm going to be a hater. I always like it, being a hater. Sonic Adventures.
Oh, fucking thank God.
Get this out of there.
Oh, fucking thank Christ.
Right now.
Oh, my God, thank you.
It's not Sonic's Adventures. It's called Sonic Adventure.
Oh, it's Sonic Adventure.
I'll have you know.
Oh, my God.
Okay, hey, can we talk about that message that's next to that game? Can we talk about that?
No, absolutely not. Move on. What do you want, Phil?
All right. Anyway, that's rude. I'll say that right now. My pick, I'm going to say I don't feel like playing Death Stranding.
I knew I shouldn't have shown that.
That was my other pick.
I snuck that one in there.
I was going to say, I didn't even see you put that in the fucking...
It's not in our chat. No, it's not in the chat. No.
You fucker.
Yeah, I snuck that one in here just now, and I was like, oh, fuck, I showed it by accident. All right, damn it.
I don't want to play Death Stranding. I don't want to.
Guys, it's a good game. It's not the greatest game.
Skip the cutscenes.
Just do UPS Simulator.
So, yes. Spinning the wheel. Let's see.
What do we got?
Simulator. We've got ourselves Halo Combat Evolved.
What the fuck? Okay.
That's a nice selection.
That's a good one.
I'm into that. I'm super into that. I already know exactly where it's going to go. I'm super into that. So, ladies and gentlemen, God, we are fucking early on this. Boys, we've all played Halo 1. We all know the length of that game and what it takes. Mm-hmm. Is it possible, gentlemen, feel free to shoot me down, because we reviewed this one so early. Is it possible that we could get through Halo in the next 2 weeks and review it in the spot that Resident Evil was scheduled to release? Is that a thing that we could do?
I think so.
Not a long game, that Halo one.
No, not at all.
10 hours.
I don't think.
Connor, how do you feel? How do you feel about that? I feel like it's an all on board or not at all.
Yeah, screw it.
Let's do it. Bada boom. I still have it. Do I still have it installed?
I definitely do not.
I still have it installed.
I have the MCC installed, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. We doing some Halo, gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for our video game book club for the month of February, March. I forget. Timeline's weird. We're just doing these now. Like, fuck, like, you know, we're just doing it. So, fuck it. Thank you so much for watching along and listening. We will be back in a few weeks' time with our review for Halo Combat Evolved. But until next time, have a great time. And gentlemen, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
I got a slushie.